The Philippines is being called Asia's rising tiger. But what exactly does this mean? Posting a GDP growth of 6.7% in 2017, the country has one of the fastest growing economies in the world, expanding at a rate unseen in the last 5 decades. The good news is, it's just getting started. The better news is that we have designed a brand new city to be the nucleus of this economic renaissance. Less than 1 hour from the capital, Manila, straddled by hills and blessed with tropical climate all year long. We are building the city of the future, a landmark development twice the size of Manhattan. Originally developed by the Americans for its secure and strategic location in Asia Pacific, Clark is being transformed into a disaster-resilient metropolis that will be competitive and attractive to a global market. It will consist of 4 main districts. The Clark Freeport Zone, an existing mixed-use complex established in the 90s. Clark Global City, which will serve as the primary business district. And New Clark City, which will house satellite government offices and a first-class sports village. Central to all of this is Clark International Airport, which will soon be expanded to accommodate up to 80 million passengers a year. This ensures that travel will be comfortable while trade is seamless. A city unmatched in connectivity, with access to world-class highways and the service of high-speed railways, connecting north to south and east to west, across surrounding seas and over oceans. Clark is a city built as living proof that business in this part of the world is not only easy, but simply better. With no red tape, lower taxes, and endless investment opportunities. This is a city prepared to attract talent, so that the country's best and brightest will come here to work and choose to call this place home. Because this is a city that knows how to play, where you can unwind at your own speed, where safety is paramount, and people always come first. This is a city where history and culture thrive, where modern conveniences meet timeless traditions, and progress is driven by passion. This is a city with limitless ambition that may someday find itself among the great cities of the world, built for business so that time is always well spent, and built for people so that life is always well lived. This is Clark.
All right, so we're live. Welcome to HR on the Go, where top trends and hot topics relating to HR and people management are coming your way. So buckle up and prepare for takeoff. Again, HR on the Go is a joint collaboration of Clark HR Council and CPHR Philippines, airing live on the CHRC Facebook page every other Tuesday. So if you're interested in becoming a CHRC member, join us via www.clarkhrcouncil.org /join. Ayan, of course. So welcome to our 14th episode. We're actually down to our last two episodes before we end the first season of the HR on the Go online show of Clark HR Council. Of course, which will be participated by a very, one of the most outstanding personalities in the arena of business. No? So later on, I will be helping you introduce sino ba ang ating bisita for today. And of course, no, let's now talk about the topic dito sa ating pag-uusapan natin ngayon sa episode nito, no, which is entitled How to Unlock the Post-Pandemic Growth Through Innovation in a Post-Pandemic Era. Now, even with businesses, no, with sufficient cash reserves to weather the storm, can end up in a worse situation. Now, in times of crisis, firms are prone to strategic decision making that prioritizes short-term advantages over long-term success. Now, strong leadership, intelligence, and insight are required in such situations. Of course, using real life examples and insights from an experienced guest, Dr. Irineo Bong Alvaro Jr., now, a game changer business leader, will help provide practical guidance on how to unlock post pandemic growth through innovation in a post pandemic era. Okay, of course, before we call on Doc Bong Alvaro, allow me to introduce our guest for today. So, Doc Alvaro is one of the most outstanding personalities in domestic and international business arena, an ambassador, a philanthropist, and a multi-awarded public servant, and a respected academician, and a farmer entrepreneur who finished his PhD at AUF with Meritissimus, or the highest rating for his doctoral dissertation, being a professor as well for masteral and doctoral studies at DAVSU. As a public servant, he was a three-termer Angeles City Councilor, a city administrator of Angeles City, and a former assistant secretary in Malacanang Palace. Now, he also wrote modules for local legislators, manuscripts, and research materials in public administration. In business, currently he is the president and chairman of multi-billion companies like Midori Hotel, Aqua Planet, and of course the upcoming Mirage Hotel, PBO Global and PBO Hong Kong, as well as the Next Gen Solutions, Clark, and many more. Dr. Alvaro owns and developed the Fiona's Farm, serving as the integrated farm resort and training and laboratory facility for agricultural students of PSAU. Of course, gents and ladies, may I call on, of course, Doc Alvaro, no, on stage. Ayan, good afternoon, Doc Bong.
Yes, good afternoon, Jester. It's a pleasure being invited in your prestigious organization.
Thank you very much, Doc Bong. No? So it's been a rough few years now for businesses, and of course, this time it's a very different platform now. As businesses thrive, of course, we've been
Exactly.
hearing that we have to navigate through the uncertainty. No, that we still need to remain afloat for the past years. Doc Bong, what do you think about the businesses in the post-pandemic period, given the pandemic problem of the recent years?
Well, the post-pandemic period, yes, it may result not only on losses but also on additional expenses or cost in the operations,
Mm-hmm.
especially in our sector, the hospitality sector, where we are.
Right.
The new normal demands added expenses on transportation,
Mm-hmm.
lodging, and other health and safety protocols.
Mm-hmm.
Safe distancing on shuttle buses and lodging quarters had to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Fully enclosed COVID-19 entrances counters have to be established, of course, with additional alcohol sprays and all other
Right.
things.
Right.
Ano?
Mm-hmm.
Temperature scanners, face mask. Wala ito dati sa aming ano, sa list namin.
Mm-hmm.
Kasama yung face mask, vitamins and other
Mm-hmm.
materials. were not in our expense list before, but now everything shall be part of the new normal safety protocol.
Mhm.
Another thing, trainings for the emergency teams,
Mhm.
company nurses have to be revised. Yung mga company nurses, we have to hire additional,
Mhm.
um, revised protocols, just to ascertain a crisis resilient facility.
Mhm.
Another, health insurances
Mhm.
and safety policies in workplaces and labor committees have to be upgraded too.
Mhm.
Vast and immediate measures have to be in place. The sooner, the better. Yan,
Mhm.
yan.
Right.
Now, on the recovery side, our sector, well, the hospitality and, or we call it the tourism sector, is one of the most devastated sector. We all know
Mhm.
that. Sabi nga nila dun sa assessment namin recovery may be slow. It may take 3 to 5 years. But
Right.
what is
Right.
important is we are now on the path of recovery.
Mhm.
Andyan na. Aabot din
Mm.
tayo. Meron lang talagang katagalan sa sektor namin because it's highly devastated yan.
Mhm.
Talagang may katagalan, kabagalan, but what matters now is that we are recovering and we will survive. You know,
Right.
Filipinos are known to be resilient.
Correct.
Di ba?
Mm.
Especially people of Central Luzon. We have proven that during the Pinatubo aftermath.
Mm.
Si, o ikaw, ewan ko kung you're very young yet, but on the Pinatubo, lahat ng makakita sa atin, sa kondisyon natin, they never expected us to recover that quick.
Right.
But just
Mhm.
like, you know, sabi nga nung mayor namin noon just like the phoenix rising from the ashes.
Mhm.
Ganyan ang Pinoy.
Mhm.
So, I am confident we will get there soon. No matter how slow it is, what is important is we are all now on the path of
Mhm.
recovery.
Agree. And we've been seeing that, no, sa mga organizations previously in the past years. We've been seeing manufacturing companies, lalong-lalo na sa Clark, na nagda-downsize, no, or yung
Mhm.
ibang businesses na nagsara because, of course, they do not have the market. Most especially that the customers there, ang goal nila is to, for example, mag-gym, but because of the pandemic situation, they're now scared, no, to go to the gym. So mangyayari nito, hindi na nakapag-shift ng strategy, nag-close na. With this in mind, Doc Pong, no, we've seen many organizations that have migrated from survival mode to new
Mhm.
endeavors in recent years, no, in order to adapt to the changing client demands. How did the pandemic influence your business based on your experience?
Yeah, you're right, Jester. Um, talagang you really have to be on a survival mode. Ang tagal
Mm-hmm.
na. Aside from the great loss for more than 2 years struggle with the pandemic, there are several lessons we learned that somehow changed our perspective on things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, marami ang nasa survival mode to adopt and perhaps to adapt
Right.
from changing client demands.
Mm-hmm.
But on a general scale, all of us must revisit and reappreciate uh, the meaning of profitability during crisis.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, uh, you really have to redefine during a crisis, especially itong pandemic for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
you really have to redefine profit.
Mm-hmm.
We must set aside primarily in redefining profit. We must set aside our prime motivation for revenues and profit.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if we want to preserve its markets and the sources of its revenues and profits, you really have to do this. The virus has crushed the global economy
Mm-hmm.
to levels never experienced in the recent history. In the Philippines, our economy, we all know that the
Correct.
economy shrunk to
Mm-hmm.
less than 10%
Mm-hmm.
from 7% a year before. This is entirely because of the pandemic. Kaya nga during crisis, nagbago ang pamantayan namin sa tinatawag naming kita o
Mm-hmm.
pagkita.
Mm-hmm.
Halimbawa, dati, when we measure profit, we measure it on how much we have accumulated,
Mm-hmm.
how much money na sumobra, no?
Mm-hmm.
But the crisis taught us new definition of profit. Example, just to have a minimal retrenchment kinonsider namin, finactor na namin yun na profit.
Mhm.
Why? Kasi yung hindi mo aalisin yung mga tao, hindi mo sila i-retrench, para bang okay na sa amin to. Bumaba na yung kategorya ng pamantayan sa profit. Yung
Mhm.
masiguro mo lang na may papakain sa pamilya itong mga manggagawa mo, you feel good.
Mhm.
And we considered that as a profit, most of
Mhm.
us,
Mhm.
especially in our sector na highly devastated.
Mhm.
Well, another redefinition of profit in our case was the ability to exist. Yung tawag nga namin at the end of the storm,
Mhm.
yung nandoon ka pa,
Mhm.
nagtubo ka na.
Mhm.
Those are the new concepts.
Right,
We
right.
were we were taught to compute profit not only in terms of money accumulated,
Mhm.
but more of that humanitarian factor.
Mhm.
Na-enhance kasi yung pagtingin sa humanitarian factor. The
Right.
pandemic somehow transformed business people,
Mhm.
at least in our sector, to be much humanly considerate.
Mhm.
Kasi during the pandemic, we saw a lot of businesses. This is very, it's a nice sight.
Mhm.
During the pandemic, we saw a lot of businesses generously helping or contributing to each
Mhm.
other despite
Despite.
their
Mhm.
losing state. Kaya nagbago. Di na puro pera ang gustong makita. Kung
Mhm.
hindi paano sama-samang makaahon. Yung
Mhm.
mabuhay ka at magbigay buhay, we considered it totoong tubo na yon.
Mhm.
So that's an innovation which we found a new definition on computing profit.
Mhm. So I like how you define no the definition ng profit ngayon, no, the intangible benefits that
Yes,
you reap from
exactly.
the partners, or the employees, no, and that just says, no, how good, no, you are in as an employer, because in this trying times, so kahit na nagda-downsize iba, kahit na yung iba ayaw namang magpakawala ng tao, they have really taken care of the employee well-being, no, o yung well-being
Correct.
ng employees, no.
Correct.
So
Mhm.
with that in mind, Doc Bong, with the businesses that you're currently handling, are you still that very ano pa rin naman ba, hands-on sa businesses mo?
The more,
Oo.
the more that
The
you
more.
should, kasi you really have to monitor the progress, the journey.
Mhm.
Kakaiba ito.
Right.
The more that you should. Ito yung sigurong additional na dati hindi man kami nagpapakita sa office.
Oo.
Pero
Ngayon
ngayon, the more
napadalas.
that you should, yeah, mag-a-adjust ka talaga.
Mm.
Mhm.
Because we are really kasi in a very fast-paced environment, and the demands of the client are very ano yan, ang bilis magpalit eh. So
Correct.
previously, no, when employees, or when I'm sorry, the companies, no, do their strategic planning, this is designed for at least 3 to 5 years. For example, in 2019, no, nag-strategic plan yan, but now it's very irrelevant now. Our
Mhm.
strategic plan years ago may not be relevant now because of the the changing client demands, no. So in this regard, I would also like to of course, no, parang at least inspiration din, no, sa ating mga businesses din, with the Aqua Planet now, no, as a successful ano pa rin business, given the fact that
Mhm.
we're still in the pandemic. What inspires you to create the largest water park in the Philippines?
Well, actually, the original plan was to create uh, a golf course. Pero sabi nga namin sabi ko noon, I was able to convince my partners, the Taiwanese, na
Mhm.
wag na yon. Ang gawin natin, napakarami ng golf course. Tapos, ang problema sa golf course kasi there are some environmental issues.
Mhm.
So, sabi ko sa kanila, that's why we came up with a concept na let's do some amenities that will supplement the existing ones.
Mhm.
And secondly, let's do some things na to give reason for
Mhm.
kasi dati daanan lang ang Clark, di ba?
Mhm.
Sabi ko sa kanila, let's even in sa CDC sinabi ko to
Mhm.
we will create something that will allow people to stay longer in Clark, hindi
Mhm.
lang daanan. That was where the concept of Aqua Planet was born. Kaya nga yung
Mhm.
katabi nun, yung hotel, kasi nga para may pag-i-stayan.
Right.
Although under construction pa. Yun yung that's the only thing that inspired us to have it para makadagdag sa amenities. At the same time, you can form a landmark whether we like
Mhm.
it or not.
Correct.
Aqua
And
Planet is now a landmark.
totoo.
Uh,
It drives the tourism, no? Most especially
correct.
yung mga nakakamiss na ng mga ganitong water park, lalo na ng pandemic. Now that we're in at least somehow a good situation. Um,
Mhm.
Tourists are coming back to leisures na, no, so at least
Yeah.
this boosts the economy ng Clark din, no, as well
Mhm.
as this will cause a multiplier effect. So
Mhm.
with this Doc Bong, no, how did you use the pandemic as an opportunity while attempting to keep your head above water?
Yeah. During the pandemic talagang hindi tayo nakahanda talaga. No,
Mhm.
nobody
Correct.
was ready.
Agree.
Uh, so we explored a lot of endeavors.
Mhm.
There are so many activities to keep you sane. Number
Mhm.
one, to keep you sane and focused on what you can earn even on a small scale lang.
Mhm.
Um, One good lesson that the pandemic taught most businessmen, they were taught how to be satisfied with smaller earnings
Mhm.
just to survive.
Mhm.
Yun yung naka-anchor yun to survive kasi kahit maliit na.
Mhm.
Na-develop yung the art of being patient
Mhm.
and being hopeful. In our case, for instance, in our case, we accepted yung mga lock-in tapings
Mhm.
ng mga nag-ano kami sa mga nag-explore kami sa mga film industries.
Mhm.
Ang mga lock-in na para kahit na tapos yung lugar yung ibang mga kasama ko yung lugar nila they
Mhm.
enrolled their facility as COVID-19 facility for OFWs.
Mhm.
Maliit ang talagang nahati yung rate ng kanilang mga hotel rooms, but that's
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
Importante, yung sanity mo na meron kang ginagawa,
Right,
I mean,
right. Mhm.
activity. At the same time, hindi ka nalulugi.
Mhm.
Nagtutubo ka pero napakalibat. That's already okay because
Mhm.
yun nga sinasabi ko, we have redefined the meaning of profitability.
Mhm.
Sa Fiona's Farm, for instance, I utilized the pandemic a time to
Mhm.
infuse modern agricultural techniques for
Mhm.
our mangoes and the rest of the to be revitalized especially yung aming marami kaming mangga
Mhm.
Kaya ngayon makita mo nitong harvest after the pandemic grabe yung mga
Mhm.
bunga ng mga mangga. Ibig sabihin nagkaroon ng break
Oo.
yung even the trees nagkaroon sila
Mm.
ng short break to rest a
Mhm.
break and at time
Mhm.
uh, na nag-yield sila ng napakarami ngayon. In
Mhm.
in in short, a rest, a break, and a time to make up our facility,
Mhm.
a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
So ito yung nagpapatuloy sa atin, ito yung mga iba't ibang klaseng pagtanggap at pag-innovate ng mga bagay. Bottom line is you are doing something,
Mhm.
your journey to survival ay nandoon.
Mhm.
uh, it doesn't matter whether the profit malaki ang trabaho pero konti ang profit.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. What
Mhm.
is important is buhay ka at
Mhm.
nagbibigay ka ng buhay.
Mhm.
Yun ang kolatilya nun.
Mhm. ang ganda ng lesson because parang ang sinasabi ni Doc Bong, no, ay small wins are still wins, or small progress is still a progress, no. Um,
There, definitely, definitely.
mhm. Ayun, no. So, Doc Bong, what variables should a company research or monitor to ensure that it can quickly recover from a crisis? For example, there's still organizations even in the year 2022 that are still having a hard time re-strategizing, no, redefining their mission, vision, and values, and even the direction of their company. No, what variables ba should a company research or monitor, no, to ensure that
Ah,
they can quickly recover?
ah, sa dati sa mga planning natin,
Mhm.
ang tinitingnan mo palagi, how much shall we
Mhm.
earn from this period of time, etc. How we measure the growth, etc. etc. Ngayon,
Mhm.
the new variable is yung how can you be crisis resilient?
Mhm.
Yung tinatawag na crisis proof ang
Mhm.
yung organization mo at any given situation. This
Mhm.
should be part, and it's now a bigger part of any planning activity.
Mhm.
That's one. The other thing, the other variable is to create a, if I may borrow the the definition of Professor Robert Quinn
Mhm.
on positive organizational behavior, you have to create a place where people are flourishing as they work,
Mhm.
and as a result they are able to exceed performance expectations. Yun yung
Mhm.
kanyang ano eh. Tama ito ngayon sa panahon ng pandemya, to
Mhm.
create a positive organizational behavior, kasi naghahabol ka para mag-exceed ng performance ang mga tao mo dahil naghahabol ka sa pagre-recover mo.
Mhm.
Of course, when you talk of positive organizational behavior, it always hinges on two things. Eh.
Mhm.
One is you have to consider mental health strength
Right.
ng yung company, di ba?
Mhm.
When we talk of mental health, this includes uh, a healthy emotional,
Mhm.
psychological, and social
Mhm.
well-being.
Mhm.
Kasama yan ngayon eh. Kailangan mo
Mhm.
nang i-consider ngayon yan. Why? Because this influences the way people or the way employees think, behave, and even feel, which is
Mhm.
very important in a crisis situation.
Mhm.
So, dapat kasama na sa pagpa-factor mo yung the mental health strength ng
Mhm.
organization. The other thing is of course, the human resource strength.
Right.
When we talk of human resource strength, hindi lang yun yung strength as a strength. It includes developing and
Mhm.
managing improvement of performance in the workplace.
Mhm.
Dahil kasama yan sa medyo kailangang mabilis ng konti ngayon ang
Mhm.
pag-recover mo.
Correct.
These are very important dahil naghahabol tayo. Recovery phase is being able to use all the ingredients,
Mhm.
small or big,
Mhm.
towards the achievement of your goal. Sabi mo nga kanina, yung sinabi mo kanina, kahit maliit pa yan, profit pa rin
Mhm.
yan. Kahit ano
Mhm.
pa yan. Ganun pa rin dapat the frame of mind
Mhm.
ng organization.
Mhm.
Of course, other added variables, you have to be very critical on your safety policies at workplace.
Mhm.
May allowed na yung work from home policies. Halimbawa, nandito ako ngayon sa PBO, which is
Mhm.
an outsourcing company of my son.
Mhm.
Kasama ito sa work from home policies, kailangan mong ayusin, repasuhin.
Mhm.
Of course, contingency plans for raw materials sa mga manufacturing dahil tatamaan sa ayaw mo at sa gusto ng
Mhm.
COVID. Lahat tinamaan kasi ng COVID eh.
Correct,
Pati yung
correct. Mhm.
production ng raw materials, di ba?
Mhm. Agree.
And then the other variable is a viable tie-up with governments, institutions, and government announcements.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kasi you really have to move quick eh.
Mhm.
Of course, another variable that you can also maximize here is groups tie up with NGOs, with
Mhm.
other organization, networking,
Right.
kasama yan. So ibig sabihin, because when you talk of pandemic, isa sa na-realize natin, it cannot be solved by one superhuman.
Mhm, mhm.
It can only be solved by yung sama-sama,
Collaboration. Mhm.
collaboration yan. And this
Mhm.
is the term, the new variable now. We really have to collaborate
Right.
para yung liit-liit maparami natin.
Mhm.
And then, most importantly, is a cooperation. Cooperation
Mhm.
hindi lang sa atin-atin, kundi pati na sa gobyerno.
Mhm.
Yun yung mga new variables that we really have to take into account.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's nice. So, this parang at least reminds the employers as well to take this as a moral obligation, no, to the community as well, no? Kasi you just not develop your company, but you also have developed the community where you are parang kung saan ang kinatatayuan mo. In being innovative and creative is a very hard thing na makikita natin, no, na mahirap makita sa lahat ng mga tao, but in with this in mind, no, how can businesses ensure that their companies, no, is innovative or innovation driven, and of course why should they always plan for growth ideas to be on their agenda in the next years?
Yes. When you talk of innovation driven,
Mm-hmm.
it can be of several things.
Mm-hmm.
Halimbawa, let me give you another example. When we were building Midori,
Mm-hmm.
did you know that we were building Midori, ano pa yan wala pang halos pumupuntang tao sa Clark noon. Nauna kami di ba,
Mm-hmm.
pinakauna kaming hotel. Tapos
Mm-hmm.
tinanong ako ng mga Taiwanese, why are you building a 5-star category hotel?
Mm-hmm.
Sabi niya, sino yung darating diyan, sino yung magtatao diyan? Sabi ko, I know how resilient the people are,
Mm-hmm.
the Filipinos are, sabi ko. So believe me, soon this storm will be over.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos sabi ko, and we only have a small budget, sabi ko nga, the principle which I have, na
Mm-hmm.
sinasabi ko palagi sa mga employees, sabi ko, if you cannot be at par
Mm-hmm.
or you cannot beat your competitors, be at least the first. Kaya
Right,
nga,
right. Mm-hmm.
nung ginawa namin yung Midori, the first
Mm-hmm.
5-star hotel category,
Mm-hmm.
kasi maliit siya Hindi siya
Uh-uh.
hindi siya kasi laki ng mga giant hotels yan. But at
Mm-hmm.
least,
You
after
were
the
the first.
storm, you're the first.
Uh-uh.
Di ba? Those are simple innovations
Mhm,
Innovations can be in many forms.
mhm,
Sometimes you need not spend a lot to come up with bright ideas to
mhm,
ensure your growth.
mhm,
Yeah. Yung crisis kasi tuturuan ka mismo na mag-adjust
mhm,
Sa mga estudyante ko, when I was talking about how to recover in a crisis, ang palagi ko sinasabi sa kanila, well, the milk was spilled.
mhm,
So, do not cry over spilled milk. Just drink water.
mhm,
Wala tayong choice but to
mhm.
move forward and join
Right.
the path to recovery.
Mhm,
In circumstances where you cannot have the better or the best,
mhm,
live with the worst.
mhm,
It's the only choice.
mhm,
But be resourceful.
mhm,
Resourcefulness kasi is one of the biggest component of being resilient in combating crisis.
mhm.
Yeah.
It it is always best to stay out of the mediocrity, no? So that way, yeah, you can really grow. Um, you have mentioned a while ago about the agility. So why do you believe that agility is actually the secret to an organization's success?
I do believe that it is a big one of the biggest component on the success of every organization, agility. When
Mm-hmm.
you define agility in simple terms, it is the ability to operate and compete in a continuous and dynamic change context. Di ba? Ganun yung
Mhm.
technical definition ng ano eh. Sa amin sa public administration, ang tawag namin dyan, you're living in a turbulent situation. Yung tinatawag na
Mhm.
dynamic change context. Turbulent situation. Pag turbulent yan, ibig sabihin maraming bumps yan.
Right, right.
Most successes are anchored on the ability of organization to move swiftly and
Mhm.
easily, to
Mhm.
be agile.
Right.
Sabi ko nga, striking while the iron is hot. Yung ulumang kasabihan,
Mhm.
it holds truth in it.
Correct.
Kasi that is still true. Well, you have to act, to think, and decide quickly, especially in a crisis. Kasi
Mhm.
mapapag-iwanan ka eh. These
Mhm.
are great components of the path to success. And the ability to move swiftly,
Mhm.
to move easily, to act, to
Mhm.
think, and decide quickly in any given situation, that is being agile.
Mhm.
And normally, this is the key to unlock your path to success.
Mhm. From reactive, no, to being proactive. Ayan. So thank you
Correct?
very much, Doc Bong
Mhm.
dyan, no. Um, of course, there are always risks ngayon na tinitake ng mga organizations or businesses. Actually, mas
Mhm.
napapadalas pa. But the next question there is, when is it necessary to take risk? And of course, when is it not?
Oh, that's a tough question. I don't think there is an exact science when to and when not to.
Right.
Siguro, ano lang yan, ano, when to take the risk, ano.
Mhm.
Perhaps, siguro, if you believe in yourself, sa sarili mo talaga na wala nang
Mhm.
patutunguhan, kahit na
Mhm.
anong effort mo pa, it's
Mhm.
really time to stop. But on a
Mhm.
general scale,
Mhm.
engaging in a business these days is an everyday risk.
Mhm.
You really have to face an everyday risk
Mhm.
after this pandemic,
Mhm.
especially for small scale and some medium enterprises.
Right.
That is why the antidote is your readiness to
Mhm.
face challenges every single day of encounter.
Mhm.
Yun yung antidote eh.
Mhm.
Hindi yung to stop or to not to.
Mhm.
Pero the ability, the readiness to face challenges
Mhm.
every single day of encounter. No business is risk-free.
Mhm.
That's a rule. Palaging isipin mo na kasama ang risk so that
Right,
you
right.
will always be on guard. There
Mhm.
is always a risk, just yung minsan just a matter of degree of difficulty lang eh.
Mhm.
Ah, so ang ano diyan, the answer there is always have with you a
Mhm.
ready safety nets in anything that you plan, in anything that you wish to accomplish.
Mhm.
In the new normal kasi, training not only on how to do the job well,
Mhm. Mhm.
of course, is part and parcel of the component, but it is of equal importance yung how to evade
Mhm.
or combat risk.
Mhm.
This is a must. So
Mhm.
kasama na sa training dapat yan.
Mhm.
That is why you need yung POB mo is very important today. The concepts, the principle
Mhm.
of POB.
Mhm.
Secondly, since crisis strike most of the time on the least expected,
Right. Mhm.
therefore it is always necessary that it is not only the higher management that must understand well
Mhm.
the focus and the clear direction of the company.
Mhm.
Nowadays, it has to be made clear from the janitor
Mhm.
to the middle managers to the higher up, the real direction, the thrust of
Mhm.
the company, so that all efforts must be geared towards that.
Mhm.
That may somehow minimize the risk when all players in the
Mhm.
organization understands
Mhm.
well the direction of the company or the
Mhm.
organization. organization.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Ayun, no? I like how you mentioned that at least, no, regardless of the position, they should all be in now a single or in one direction, no, and that's the culture we want, no, for every employers. Um, of course, though, it's not just about the technical skills, no, that the businessmans now should have, but of course, the essential skills, no, or the soft skills. Um, how can you now inspire new business attitudes and habits to help businesses recover?
Mhm. I One of my students on in global marketing one time
Mm-hmm.
asked me, sabi niya, "Sir, you're a businessman. Do you really believe in luck?"
Mm-hmm.
I immediately answered yes.
Mm-hmm.
Pero sabi ko sa kanya, yes, I do believe in luck. But the colatilla was, luck is always associated with hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Hard work plus hard work on what you do is equals luck. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to be lucky,
Mm-hmm.
put a lot of hard work in it. Kasi
Mm-hmm.
kapatid ng luck ang hard work.
Uh-uh.
Hard work is one of the most important ingredient to the path
Mm-hmm.
of success.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. The other relative o kamag-anak ng success is
Mm-hmm.
patience. There is no shortcut to success.
Mm-hmm.
Minsan, ah, kaya madaling mabagot yung ibang mga nagnenegosyo kasi nagmamadaling lumaki.
Mm-hmm.
Nagmamadaling palaguin ang negosyo. Minsan kasi hindi mo siya mapupwersa eh. You really have to be patient. Basta
Mm-hmm.
ang what is important, malinaw yung direction mo. Hindi naman masama yung magmadali kang lumaki.
Mm-hmm.
Pero the chances of success may be nil as compared to doing it right with proper timing associated with being patient. So, yun yung mga component. Finally, you know, let us accept it. All things changed. Nagbago lahat in this pandemic. Not only the structures, even human behavior, nagbago yan. It is never a solution, but behind that, it is never a solution to stop nor losing your track. Because stopping or losing your track in a crisis is a
Mm-hmm.
no-no.
Mm-hmm.
There is no other choice. After the crisis, there is no other choice for organizations but to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
At ito yung sigurong may papayo ko.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, carrying the following. Number one, enhanced aggressiveness and agility.
Mm-hmm.
Panibagong lakas yung pagiging agresibo. Pangalawa, the consequence of the crisis called for an active mode palagi. Wala kang karapatang manlumo. Kasi pag nanlumo ka, lalo kang hindi makakaabot sa
Mm-hmm.
recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So, these are important factor kasi behavioral kasi ang maraming tinamaan eh. So
Mm-hmm.
active mode palagi. The next is perhaps we can say flexibility to adapt with an O
Mm-hmm.
and adapt with an A.
Mm-hmm.
Ibig sabihin, flexibility to adapt with an O, own it, accept it, huwag mo nang i-deny. Talagang nangyari yan.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi andyan yan.
Right.
Going against it is not a solution. It's never a solution. And since you have accepted it, nag-adapt ka na dyan, you adapt with an
Mm-hmm.
A, adjust to it with renewed vigor. Embrace it so that you can continue your journey towards the direction where you want to go, towards the recovery path of your
Mm-hmm.
organization.
Ayun, thank you very much, Doc Bong. No, that was so very inspiring. No, that these new attitudes and behavior, of course, will inevitably um, stake a claim, no, in this post-pandemic era. Now, of course, I would also like to take this opportunity to ask, no, kasi mukhang non-stop ito si Dr. Bong, no, lalong-lalo na sa achievements. No, do you feel ba that age is catching up on you? Parang hindi eh. Parang hindi hinahabol lang ano eh, ng edad si Doc Bong eh, non-stop eh. Do you feel age is catching up on you?
Of course, somehow, yes, I cannot deny that because,
Uh-huh.
uh, I'm a senior citizen.
Uh-huh.
But siguro, ako ang isang belief ko kasi, tumataas ang edad mo, pero dapat kasabay nung pagtaas ng edad mo ay yung pagtataas ng ah, moral mo at
Mhm.
aggressiveness mo
Mhm.
sa pag hindi yung mali siguro o hindi baka hindi tama yung dahil tumataas ang edad mo
Bumababa,
bumababa din
oo.
yung
Yung
siguro
drive, mhm.
baliktarin natin. So
Uh-huh.
I think that's the principle. Well, somehow physically it
Mhm.
will catch you up.
Mhm.
But then again, mentally, emotionally, it should not.
Mhm. Ayun 'no. As for my last question, Doc Bong 'no, how would you like to be remembered?
Mhm.
Ayan, or history will tell na lang ba? Ayan. How do you like to be remembered, Doc Bong? As my closing question for this interview.
Well, at least I would like to be remembered as someone who had contributed and done the right thing
Mhm.
in in my stint in this
Mhm.
world, ano. Yun kasi lahat ng naman ng yung at least napapag-usapan ako.
Mhm.
Yung at least napapag-usapan ka and the legacy that you left at least nandoon pa at tinitingnan pa. I
Mhm.
want to be remembered as plainly Bong Alvaro
Mhm.
na nanguna sa that there is life after the American bases.
Mhm.
Because that was my call during
Mhm.
the time of the Americans that there is indeed life. Kasi marami nagsasabi nun, pag umalis ang mga Amerikano sa Clark,
Mhm.
mamamatay tayo. I did not
Mhm.
believe that. So I want
Mhm.
to be remembered as the person na nanguna that there is life after the basis and that person was able to prove it. Kaya nga hanggang ngayon, hindi ako umalis sa Clark. I want
Mhm.
to be remembered like that.
Yan 'no, truly a game changer 'no, and a philanthropist yan si Doc Bong Alvaro. Of course, with that, we would like to thank you, Doc Bong Alvaro, for sharing your precious time 'no. I know
My
you're
pleasure.
very busy, pero amidst your busy schedule, you were able to, provide us, an extra time 'no. Ayan, so maraming maraming salamat, Doc Bong, and of course sa mga nanonood, this will still be available 'no, sa aming YouTube channel and aming, Facebook page, Clark HR Council, if you want to revisit the past episodes. Now, of course, the final episode will be streamed live, no, sa ating second Tuesday ng June. No? So again, HR on the Go is a joint collaboration of Clark HR Council and CPHR Philippines, airing live on the CHRC Facebook every other Tuesday. So if you're interested in becoming a CHRC member, you can join us via www.clarkhrcouncil.org/join. Ayan, of course. So again, maraming maraming salamat, and we thank you again for staying no throughout the session. Ayan, bago natin i-end ang show, baka meron kayong parting words or final remarks, Doc Bong, sa ating mga businesses na gustong sumubok muli dito sa era ng post-pandemic.
Yeah, very brief. The best investment today is genuine service.
Mhm.
So, ibig sabihin wala nang tataas pa at papalit pa sa binigay mo yung lahat uh, sa yung paglilingkod. Mapa businessman, mapa estudyante, mapa but giving your best and that is the best investment.
All right. Thank you very much again, Doc Irineo, Bong Alvaro Jr. For being our guest no for this episode. And with that, no, maraming salamat, and of course be safe everyone, and of course be safe din sa inyo, Doc Bong. No? So with that,
The
paalam
same
muna,
to. Yeah.
and see you next time. Goodbye everyone. Bye.
Maraming salamat po. Bye.